Hey, I wanted to talk to you because it has been such a crazy week here in Westminster. So I thought I'd just come here into the podcast studio after the programme and chat to a few of you guys. So if you've got any questions for me about what on earth is going on, then let me know. I can see your comments below. So hello to the people joining. It has been an absolutely wild week. I think, look, we have been thinking for a while that it was inevitable that at some point Keir Starmer was going to have to go, right? You can't lose the support of that many MPs and stay on for any kind of long period. I think that is, the kind of inevitability of it. But even still, I feel like I've kind of, taken a step backwards this week. Being on the street in Downing Street that day, listening to the resignation speech, you've got to take a step back and think, how on earth are we here again? How are we here again? 7 prime ministers in 10 years. This is the third time that Harry Kane has been playing at an international tournament and there's been a change of prime minister. Toby, I can see there, has got a question saying, when will the election be? And I think it's a really good one, actually, because, look, Labour have been saying, lots of Labour MPs, Andy Burnham, in fact, has been saying that actually there's no need for a general election. The country needs stability. But I think that the calls for a general election will grow, and I think that perhaps the early general election is actually a little bit underpriced. I can see Laurie saying that there is no sound. I'm hoping that that's not true. If you can't hear me, then tell me. I'm hoping. If you can hear me, let me know anyway. Then I can be reassured that I'm not just talking to myself in an empty room. Richard saying there, is it time to change the rules to force a general election when a Prime Minister resigns? Well, that's what some people are calling for. That's what Mike Tapp, the Labour MP, has said. I think that there will probably be... good, thank you, there is sound. This is reassuring, excellent. I think that there will be a clamour for an election to be called within 6 months, within a year, for example, of a change of Prime Minister. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon because, weirdly, it is quite normal for us to change Prime Minister in this way. There's probably more times, I think, in recent history, and even in not so recent history, when it hasn't been an election that's forced a change of leader. It's actually been something in between an election. So I think that there will be perhaps a clamour to change leader, to change the rules, but it might not necessarily happen. But just going back to what I was saying about maybe Andy Burnham could call a snap general election. I mean, if the polls are looking that way, are Reform really ready logistically for a general election? There are a few green shoots for the Conservatives, but are they really ready to fight an election? If it gets the kind of bounce, it may be that actually going early is the right thing to do. Jimmy says it's the hypocrisy, though, from Labour. And look, I think this is, a big part of it, right? Is there a mandate for an Andy Burnham premiership? If he strays too far from the manifesto, I think this is the thing. He might be quite bound by the manifesto. Richard saying you might as well get a flat in Downing Street as you're there so often. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I would at least like, a toilet and maybe like a little tea truck, like a little snack van. That would be good. Bonnie says, what are the odds for Darren Jones staging a leadership coup? I was always quite sceptical that he had the numbers, to be honest. You need 81 MPs to get you over the line. I think there's lots of MPs who are not that happy about the way that Keir Starmer has been forced out of office. But will 81 MPs back Darren Jones? I'm not sure. He's also told our political editor as well that actually he's not going to run at all. He says he's got the numbers, which I think we can be gently sceptical of, is what I would say. So there you go. Bonnie, I know the heat's doing me in as well. A question I got a few moments ago, actually, that I'm going to try and address now was, will Andy Burnham be our next Prime Minister? And I'm going to say yes. I hate making predictions in politics normally because it's been so unpredictable that things change at such breakneck speed. But I think that actually we can now be pretty confident that Andy Burnham is going to be the next Prime Minister. Yes, I absolutely think we can say that now. And to be honest, I think we have been able to say that ever since he won so emphatically in Makerfield. It wasn't even so much the victory in Makerfield, it was the fact that he won so strongly. got 55% of the vote, more than all the other candidates combined. And I think that was the proof that so many Labour MPs were waiting for, really, that he's someone who could beat reform, frankly. And for a lot of them, that is their primary concern, because they're thinking about their own seats. Bex, I've just seen your message. Now, for people who don't know, Bex is a mum whose son is obsessed with Wilf. And he had, I think it was was it a second birthday or a first birthday? Second birthday, I believe, where they just decked everything out with Wilf, paraphernalia, balloons, cakes, posters, the lot. We have seen it, Will's seen it, and he absolutely loves it. It's brilliant. We've had emails in about it and everything. I love it. Toby is saying, how long have you been a journalist? My whole career, really. So it's been like 20 years now, a long time. A lot has changed in Westminster in that time, I have to say. And then I feel like ever since the Brexit referendum, to be honest, it's just been politics and overdrive, hasn't it? So first birthday, Bex, that's it, first birthday. It was amazing. We loved it. So where do we go from here? I think that the only thing we are perhaps looking for, talking about the Darren Jones leadership bid, is could Al Cairns throw his hat in the ring? If you don't know who that is, he is the old Defence Minister. He has got a very illustrious career, I think it's fair to say, in the armed forces. A lot of people in the military say that he's someone they listen to very carefully. He resigned over the Defence Review. He hasn't ruled out standing. Will he get the numbers? Again, it's doubtful. It's looking like we're going to have Andy Burnham. And if nobody else really throws their hat into the ring, it could be fast. Mid-July is what we're talking about. Right, I'm just going to have a look at a couple of questions, just scrolling my phone. So Will says, what's it like covering major speeches in Downing Street? To be honest, it's a privilege. It is how I'm going to say. It's at those moments, and I feel really lucky to be in the job that I'm doing. And I've been in the street for a lot of speeches, from, actually I think Gordon Brown was the first one. Gordon Brown, David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak, and then Keir Starmer, of course, more recently. And there is this sense, no matter what happened before and the chaos and how strongly I know a lot of you feel about Keir Starmer, because I see your comments and I see the emails we get in, there is a sense of kind of sort of silence and a sense of moment when these things happen, because it is a time of history been made. So it's kind of chaotic, there's sound all around, it's round, you're getting stuff through all the time, you're looking at your phone, you're getting things in your ear, you can hear good old Steve Bray blasting out Ode to Joy or whatever song it is. So there is a sense of complete carnage, but it's a sense of history being made as well, and that is really a massive privilege. Charlotte is saying, who is likely to be Chancellor? I think this is such an interesting question, because there will be a lot of people who are saying that it's all about personalities, we should be worried about policies, but you can't unlink the two. Andy Burnham's first big decision is who is he going to make his Chancellor, and as soon as we know that, we're going to know an awful lot about the kind of Prime Minister he's likely to be. Up until now, a lot of people were saying Ed Miliband, but it feels like people are selling shares in Ed Miliband at the minute a bit, and I think that's because there is a concern in Team Burnham that they want to reassure the markets, if you like, about the idea of a Burnham premiership. He's also, we're told this morning, appointed James Purnell, who's like an uber Blairite, as his chief of staff. So does this mean he'll go for more of a centrist than Ed Miliband? Could it even be West Streeting? I do know that there were conversations about West Streeting in Burnham's team, considering him for Chancellor. The thing I think would be against West Streeting is if he does want to keep Shabana Mahmood as Home Secretary, if he puts West Streeting as Chancellor, then I think people on the left of the party are not going to be happy at all. So I don't know on that one. It's actually quite hard to work out. Yvette Cooper could be a unifying candidate. Could we even get a promotion for, Miata von Buller or someone like that? I think it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm going to try and do some digging, but I don't know, to be honest. Let's have a look. Sunny says, when will this chain of resignation end? I think this is a really good question, and I think there are a lot of people asking if the UK is ungovernable at the minute, because we've seen so many prime ministers, and I'll be honest, it is not good for long-term policy making, that, right? All the things, like we'll be talking about maternity, for example. I think there's a reason that in the last 10 years maternal deaths have gone up, because when you're constantly changing prime minister, things get dropped, right? Things don't get prioritised in the way they should. So hopefully quite soon, I think, is my honest answer to that. We've had it's important to say in history, periods of turbulence before, when we've had very swiftly changing prime ministers, it's normally happened at times of big cultural change when new parties are being born. I'm thinking of Reform UK, for example, as well. Big society change, which I think we're seeing at the minute. AI, technology, changes to the media. So in times of turbulence, you get political turbulence as well. So maybe if things calm down a bit, we might that might happen a bit. Alex White has just asked, what has been your standout political moment in your career? It's actually hard to pick because there has been so much craziness in British politics recently. I think I'm going to have to go for the Brexit referendum though, as the standout moment, because there's something about a referendum. It's so kind of black and white. It's a people's vote. It is something that changed our country and our politics so decisively. So I think I would go for the Brexit referendum as well. At the time, too, in the wake of the Brexit referendum, I was working on the Sunday programme on Sophy on Sunday, and my absolute favourite thing in my entire career has been going out and about and talking to people in different parts of the UK. That is honestly what I love doing the most, and I did a lot of it when I was on the Sunday programme. I miss doing it now, to be honest, even though I do it a bit. So that kind of I see as intrinsically linked to Brexit as well, that sense of just going out and about and talking to people too. Let's have a little go. Jimmy says, do you think if Kemi continues in the way she is, flourishing, she could recover the Tories to a place they get into government at the next general election? So there's two things here. Firstly, I would say there's a mountain to climb before that happens, if it does, because if you go out and talk to people, there's a lot of people who actually kind of see the Conservatives as a bit of an irrelevance, if anything. They're just not talking about them. But I think that Reform have struggled a bit more in recent months, which sounds weird because they're still leading in the polls, but I think that there hasn't been an increase. The Conservatives obviously won that by-election in Aberdeen, which I think was a huge victory for them. And I think that if there is a positioning of the Conservatives, which I think Kemi is probably trying to do as the kind of economically safe option, then I think there is a route back to power for the Conservatives, if I'm being honest. But there is still a long way to go. And I think that is why, if you ask Conservatives, they will not say they want an election right now, because they do not. They want an election, probably more than everyone, in a couple of years when they hope they'll be in a better place to fight it. Just scrolling through a little bit. Hello from the US. How crazy has this week been for you and the staff behind the scenes? Crazy. It is the honest answer to that. It has been absolutely bonkers and crazy. It's been just busy. Waking up super early. There's been lots of Haribo. There's been a lot of coffee drunk. There's been a lot of frenetic calls overnight. So it's been super busy. But it has, as always at these times of great sort of political change, it's been a privilege to do it as well. So it's been exciting in a way too. Thanks to the Wednesday shout out. That's what I always like to see. Have you ever seen this much political division in the UK? And do you think these trillionaires are funding division for their own gain? It's a very interesting question. When you're talking about the trillionaires, again, I'm guessing you're referring to social media. And I think that, honestly, my honest answer is that I think that social media does enhance difference rather than people coming together. I think that viral posts go viral because they're controversial. And I think that you're often pushed to hear views that are, black or white. You're with us or against us. You're wrong or you're right. You're an idiot or you're a genius. Rather than what I personally think life is like, which is much more nuanced and shades of grey. So I think that, there is a lot of division, and I think it's actually quite sad because I think that we should be a lot more empathetic towards each other. Even with their disagreements, is it likely that Burnham appoints Starmer as Foreign Secretary? Oh, that's an interesting one, because of course there is a history of this with David Cameron, a former Prime Minister, coming back to be Foreign Secretary. Honestly, though, I don't think it's going to happen. We think that Keir Starmer may very well stay on as a constituency MP. I don't think he's going to hot-foot it out the House of Commons. But I think there's been so much recent bad blood between Andy Burnham and Keir Starmer that I can't see them playing happy families, even in the Foreign Office. So I'm not sure that's one's going to happen, I think. Important question. What is your favourite biscuit? I think one of those Maryland cookies. Probably one of those. Sheffield Wednesday massive. I agree. I totally agree. It's lovely to see all you guys watching and giving up your your time for it too. I can see there a comment, if Wes is Chancellor, it might just be more of the same economically. That is the argument that Keir Starmer, if he is going to make... Sorry, Keir Starmer, slip of the tongue, it's been a long week. Andy Burnham would have to kind of really answer, I think, if he does make Wes Streeting Chancellor, which is by no means a given at all. Labour MPs who want change, how is Wes Streeting the change candidate? I think that's a question. Let's have a look. Will you have the opportunity soon to interview Andy Burnham? I hope so. The offer is there if he wants to do it, so we'll see. What MP has been the most difficult to interview in terms of not answering questions? I think I'm probably going to say Theresa May. She's hard to interview. She was a hard interview because she was just very straight in the way she answered stuff, and like you say, not necessarily directly answering stuff as a result. I think that people love directness. I really do, and I think that politicians who are direct with people listening are, from whatever their stripes, are the ones who I think will do well, particularly in this current climate. James says Burnham seems a bit more rock star. It will be better on the international stage. She's got a charisma. He likes a few rock bands as well, right? Richard says, will you get a holiday this summer, or will you be asked to stick around for Burnham's coronation in the first few weeks? I mean, I would be lying if I said that this wasn't a question that hasn't crossed my mind. But look, it might all be over in July. I think that if it is, then August might be quieter than we think. Famous last words, says the person who is hoping to have a summer holiday. Because there'll be a lot of sorting out. I think that the hope from Team Burnham is that they can use the party conferences in September to really kick off, introducing the team properly with the programme for government and policies. They'll have a lot of sorting out to do in those first few weeks as well. Sophy for Prime Minister. What policy should I enact? What would you do? Just great to see so many people joining. I'm just trying to see if there's any other questions I haven't yet received. I wonder if the financial constraints Keir worked under could be a limiting factor on success of the next Prime Minister. Look, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Many people thought that the reason this Labour government failed, which they have because the Prime Minister's resigned on that basis, was because they put themselves in a fiscal straitjacket. They said that they wouldn't be breaking the fiscal rules. They said they wouldn't be putting up taxes. They said they wouldn't return to austerity. Well, this doesn't work out. The thing that Andy Burnham seems to be more open to is borrowing for investment. Particularly, I think, keep an eye on defence. He could end up borrowing for defence. If he does this, will that technically be within the fiscal rules? If it's not, how will the markets react? I think these are going to be, the really critical things to take an eye on, right? The content from the World Cup of Scottish and all the other nations mixing and having fun shows the elite is wrong and we can all get along. I love that. There has been something about the World. I just love a World Cup. I absolutely love it. It's joyful. It's absolutely joyful. And I think seeing the fans out there from all the different countries is really incredible. Slang King says, what did you make of Nigel Farage's media appearances yesterday? What I made of it, and there are a few, was that he was robustly challenged on the 5 million. He says people don't care about it, and I think that obviously not everyone cares about it, but I think there are quite a lot of people who do care about it, and I think yesterday showed that it's been an issue for him. It really has been an issue for him over the last couple of months, and I think it was one perhaps that he was not expecting. If they're waiting, they could have waited with Starmer. 2 years could have made a big difference. Jamie, I think a lot of people in the Labour Party would agree with that he needed more time. TikTok Watch saying Andy Burnham's a despicable traitor. I mean, I have to say, there have been emails to the morning's inbox saying the same thing. So, not everyone has got the kind of pro-Burnham vibes. It's definitely true. Chris says reform will never win an election. The best they can hope for is to be kingmakers. I think that the by-elections more recently perhaps helps that argument, although they are still a long way ahead in the polls, so we'll wait and see. I love cakes. What's your real feelings about everything? About everything? You're going to have to be more specific. John says, can England win the World Cup? I'm a pessimist, probably because I'm a Sheffield Wednesday fan, so I do not think England are going to win the World Cup. I prefer to go in with a glass half empty feeling, and then I can only be positively surprised, basically. So that's my own view. Andy says, do you think there'll be a role for Angela Rayner? Yes, is the answer to that. Simply, I do. I do think she'll be back in cabinet. Dave says, has a brand new MP ever become Prime Minister before? So I would slightly challenge that, because I actually think Andy Burnham has weirdly more Westminster experience than Keir Starmer, actually. So strangely, more a Westminster insider than Keir Starmer was, because of his, previous as an MP, as a special advisor. So I think that he has got a bit of a hinterland in Westminster as well. Do you think Andy Burnham will be a better Prime Minister than Keir Starmer? I'm not going to answer that one. Brian says he thinks it was Rachel who's the one who brought down Starmer. Interesting, very interesting, that one as well. I'm gonna head in a minute, because I've been doing this for a little while, and I have to say, it's been. I love doing this. I'm going to try and do it more, because every time I do it, I think, oh, this is just so great, and it's lovely to see the engagement that people have. Alex White, do you think UK politics is seen with the seriousness it needs? No, to be honest, I think we should probably do that a little bit more. I think that's right. Jason says, we'll see you at AFC Wimbledon next season. Great club. Got a friend who supports AFC Wimbledon. It's a great club. Will says, will we see Count Bimface on Sky? I have got a soft spot for Count Bimface. I'm going to be totally honest with you. So yes, is the answer to that. We should definitely do that. Just double checking. But look, I'm gonna head. But it's been so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for all the really, really thoughtful questions, and thank you for watching on mornings as well. I am really keen to do a bit more of this kind of stuff with you, because I enjoy it, basically, and it's been lovely to get your questions and to have a chat with you, and I really hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye.